Okay, we're ready to start our zipper pouch project. The first thing we're going to get ready is the tab that the key ring goes around. So you've got your little square here cut out. We're going to take the pins out. Now, if you cut this correctly, you should have two pieces, but you only need one. So we're going to get rid of one, put it in the scrap bin or in the garbage. You only need one piece. So to start this out, we're going to place it right side down, and it should be square, so it does not matter which side, but we're going to fold this in half, wrong sides touching. And we're going to press it with the iron so we get a nice crease. Just like this. Now, when you open this up, you will have a crease running right down the middle, and that's important because that's going to be the guideline for our next fold. We're going to take this outer edge and now fold it to the center crease, and we're going to press that in place. Then we're going to take the opposite edge and fold that to the center crease and press that. And then we have one more fold. We're going to fold the whole thing again in half and press it one more time. The reason we're doing this is because we do not want any of the raw edges exposed when we're done, because the raw edges will start to fray like this. See how all these threads are coming off the edges like this? We want to enclose all of the raw edges inside our tab. So now we're ready to go sew this on the machine. All right, here we are at the machine. We're going to sew the open edge of our tab all the way from top to bottom down the long edge. So we had folded it over at the iron. We're going to sew it shut now down this long edge, and we're going to do it using a 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, which is the inside edge of the presser foot. So we're going to place this in and lower the presser foot so that the inside edge follows the fold, and we're going to make sure to back stitch at the beginning and at the end. Back stitch at the end. We're going to take it out. It should be nice and straight, and then we're going to trim our threads. And before our pouch is finished, we have one more thing to sew. We're going to take this entire tab and we're going to fold it in half, short ends touching this time. And you can see how it's going to form this little loop. That's where your key ring will go after we're done with our zipper pouch. So fold it in half, short ends together, but this time we're going to sew it at 1/4 of an inch, which is the outside edge. So we're going to place this in on the 1/4 of an inch line, outside edge. It's a really short seam, so we're going to back stitch at the beginning and at the end. So they're really close together, but that will really secure it in place. All right, now we're going to trim these threads. Okay, so now our little tab is ready for us to use later. Try not to lose it. Maybe put it in your Ziploc bag with the rest of your supplies until you need it. All right, the next step of our zippered ear bud pouch is to serge these two pieces together. So we're going to take the pattern piece off. Take the pattern all the way off. Now you want to keep the fabric just as it is. The instructions tell us that we want wrong sides touching this time. So don't take them apart, keep them together, and we're going to serge the two short edges together. So basically it's going to turn these two pieces of fabric into one piece because we're going to serge them together. So remember to review the 3 rules of serging before you sit down to serge. Keep your fingers away from the knife, leave behind a thread tail, and you do not need to lift up the presser foot. Now, there's not a guideline or a stitch line to follow on this. We just want the serging to be right on the edge to kind of finish off those edges. So what I would do is I would place the edge of my fabric on this little ledge right here, this little drop-off ledge. That way you're not cutting off too much, but it'll cut off enough to really give it a nice finish. So here we go. We're going to place the short edge right in line with this ledge on the serger, place it up under the foot, and then we're going to serge this edge straight. As you get to the end, continue serging until you have a tail left over. Trim here and here, and then we're going to do the other side. So we're just going to flip it over and do the same exact thing on these short edges. in. All right, and there you have it. That's all you need to serge right now. Wrong side should be touching, and we're ready to move to the next step. All right, we are ready to pin our zipper to our fabric. The zipper is going to go along the short end. Even though the zipper's kind of long and it goes along this edge, you're going to want the zipper along the short edge for our zipper pouch. And the most important part is that you sew it upside down to begin with. We're going to place the fabric towards the top of the zipper before it starts to kind of separate and get all wrinkly up here. So I'm going to take this zipper, and right now it's facing up like you would normally see a zipper on like a bag or something. So I'm going to take the zipper and we're going to flip it over and put it face down. We're going to place it right along the edge where that serging is, and then we're going to pin it in place. So you're going to have maybe 2 or 3 inches down here and a couple inches up here. You basically want your fabric centered with your zipper, and you want your zipper upside down. So we're going to take our pin and we're going to pin a couple of places on our zipper. Make sure that the pin goes down and then back up, and then we're going to sew close to the edge here. All right, we are ready to actually sew the zipper to the fabric, and in order to do that you need to change the presser foot. The number 4 is the zipper foot. So we're going to quickly walk through how to change the presser foot on the machine and how to do the settings in order to successfully sew a zipper. You're going to find this foot inside the black bag inside your supply drawer. So again, you just find the number 4 and get that ready. So in order to switch out the presser feet, you're going to reach behind, and there's a red button on the back of the presser foot, and you just press that in, and the regular number 1 falls off. I would suggest you put it underneath the machine so that it doesn't get lost. Then we're going to take the new presser foot, slide it underneath, and then lower the presser foot until it snags and it hooks on. Now, the most important part of sewing on the zipper is to adjust the needle position, because right now when it's just normally first turned on, ready to go, this needle is going to go straight down into the center. But this zipper foot has a metal bar going across the center. So if you start sewing right now, the needle is going to hit the foot and it will break. You need to move the needle position either all the way to the left or all the way to the right, depending on what side your zipper is on. The good rule of thumb is that you want the needle as close to the zipper teeth as possible. So when you look at a zipper, these little claw things, those are the zipper teeth where the zipper joins together. You want the needle as close to those teeth as you can get it. This will help prevent the fabric from getting snagged in the teeth, because if it's sewn close to it, there's no loose fabric. So because we're going to be sewing on this side, we want the zipper, we want the needle as close to the zipper teeth as possible, so we need to move the needle to the left so that it's close to the zipper teeth. So in order to do that, we're going to change our settings up here. So you can see this little needle symbol right here. That's the needle position. Right now, the dot is in the center. That means that your needle is centered right where it normally is. But we're going to press this left arrow, and it's going to move the dot and move the needle all the way to the left. Now, when we start sewing, the needle is going to pass by the foot. It's not going to hit it. You're going to be just fine. So all it is a straight stitch. Once you get your machine set up like normal, or set up with the zipper, it's just a straight stitch like we normally do. So we're going to place this in and underneath, and I'm going to line up the outside edge of my presser foot with the edge of my fabric all the way down. But because the needle's to the left, it's going to be next to the zipper. So I'm going to start right where the top edge of my fabric is, and I'm going to follow the edge of my foot on the edge of my zipper. And I'm going to backstitch at the beginning, backstitch at the end. It's just a straight stitch. So here we go. I'm going to backstitch to the edge, and then go to the first pin, take the pin out, follow that back edge of the presser foot on the edge of your fabric, and do a straight stitch all the way down. Now, you do not need to go all the way down to the end of the zipper. You are only needing to go down to where the edge of the fabric is. So once you reach the end of the fabric, that's where you're going to backstitch. Now I'm ready to take this out. And we should have just a straight line from edge to edge where our fabric is. You do not need to sew down the length of the zipper. And we're going to trim our threads. All right, now we're ready for the next step. All right, we have just sewn the first half of our zipper on. The next step says that we need to top stitch the fabric down so again it doesn't get caught. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my zipper and I'm going to flip it underneath my fabric. So see how it kind of makes that little bubble right there? We don't want any of this fabric to go over the teeth at all because then you wouldn't be able to unzip. So after I flip it over, I'm going to pull this fabric and flatten it down right next to the teeth. Then I'm going to press that fabric down so it really has a nice crease. Try not to iron on top of the zipper teeth because they are plastic and they will melt if the iron is on there for too long. You can go over it really quick if there's like a kink in it, but don't leave the iron on it or the teeth will melt. So now we have this really flat folded fabric. We're going to top stitch from here to secure that in place so that over time this fabric doesn't get caught inside our zipper teeth. So we're going to go back to the machine and top stitch this edge. All right, we are ready to top stitch this fabric down our zipper. So I'm going to place the zipper this time face up because I want to top stitch here, and I'm going to line it up with the back edge of my presser foot again. So the back edge of the presser foot is going to follow this fold, but I need to move my needle to the right now so that it's as close to the zipper teeth as possible. If you remember that rule that you want the needle as close to the teeth, you'll know which side you should be on. So I'm going to come back up to my needle position settings. This time I'm going to push the right button so that the needle moves all the way to the right. I am still going to follow the back right edge of the presser foot on that folded edge, and again it's just a straight stitch from here to here, back stitch at the beginning and the end. I'm going to back stitch, I'm going to take it out and trim our threads. All right, now we're ready to sew the other side of our zipper. Okay, we're ready to sew the other half of our zipper. So now we're going to have our zipper face up this time. So we've got our top stitching showing, we're going to keep our zipper face up. I'm going to take the opposite side of my fabric and I'm just going to pull it over the zipper and line it up with the other side of the zipper itself, like this. Now, it's important that you get your fabric lined up because some people will try to do like this, and that doesn't make any sense. You're not going to get a square bag. So make sure that the fabric is nice and straight and that the edge of the fabric is right along the edge of the opposite side of the zipper. You are going to want to pin this in place so it doesn't move while you're sewing. So we're going to go down and then up. I'm probably just going to do 2 or 3. Hold it in place. And there we go. So now again we're just going to sew from here, the edge of the fabric, to the other edge of the fabric where the zipper is. I'm going to place it underneath. I'm going to lower the presser foot so that the back edge of the presser foot follows the fabric, but I got to check my needle position. I want my needle as close to the zipper teeth as possible. So again, I need to move it to the left. Now I'm ready to sew. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to back stitch at the edge, and then I'm going to continue. Now sometimes because the zipper foot doesn't have a little crack for this thread to get under, sometimes it kind of gets wrapped around the foot like mine just did. So an easy thing to do is just put your needle in the fabric, lift up the presser foot, and if you need to, kind of swipe your shears underneath and kind of swipe it out of there. You might even need to kind of cut it. That way it doesn't hang onto your zipper foot all the way down and get all jumbled up. So now that it's nice and free, I'm going to lower the presser foot again and I'm going to continue on. Back stitch where the fabric ends. All right, now we're going to trim the threads. All right, right, now we're ready for our next step. All right, here we are at the iron. We're now going to top stitch the other side. We're going to press it so that we're ready to top stitch. So now that it's sewn together, it gets a little tricky, but not by much. We're just going to unzip the zipper all the way down, and then we're going to turn it right side out. So because we have a little bit of our zipper extending, it's going to make this a lot easier. So now we need to fold this fabric out of the way so that it doesn't get caught in the zipper, and top stitch this side. Just like we did over here, we're going to want to top stitch this other edge. So I'm going to kind of fold everything out of the way, and I'm going to make sure that that fabric right there along the zipper edge is nice and flat. And then I'm going to just iron it over. Now again, you can iron over the zipper teeth as long as it doesn't stay there for a long time, and it will hold it in place. So now we're ready to go top stitch this edge to the zipper. All right, we're going to top stitch this fabric to our zipper. It doesn't matter if you start at the bottom of the zipper or the top of the zipper. It doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to start here because that's where I started. I'm going to open it up, make sure your zipper's nice and flat, and I'm going to place this under so that the back edge of my presser foot again follows this fold of fabric. I'm going to kind of move this thread out of the way so it doesn't get stuck. But again, I need to make sure that my needle is closest to my zipper. So one more time, I'm going to move this over as close to the zipper teeth as I can get it, and then it's just a straight stitch, a top stitch from top to bottom. Keep the edge of your foot following the folded edge of your fabric all the way down. Remember to back stitch when you get to the edge of your fabric. I'm going to lift it out, and we're going to trim all of our threads. Now, at this point, it is really important that if you have any loose threads anywhere, that you trim them off, because any loose threads could get stuck in your zipper, and then your zipper might not open and close. So as I look at my thread pouch, I have a couple little loopy fabrics or threads right here. I'm just going to trim those off to make sure that they don't ever get caught inside my zipper. There we go, and we're just going to check it front and back. Make sure there's no loose threads anywhere. Now, before you move on, you need to put your regular presser foot back on the machine. So don't move on to the next step until you switch it. So all you got to do is press the red button, take the zipper foot off, use your shears or a pencil, and put the regular foot back on. And then make sure that your needle is in the center position. You can move the needle selector so that the dot is right in the middle, or another easy way is to turn the machine off and turn it back on again, and it will reset back to normal. Don't forget to put this presser foot back in the black bag and in your drawer. All right, we're almost done with our zipper pouch. The last thing we need to do is to sew the edges shut, and also make sure that we sew in our tab. At this point, you need to decide where it is you would like your zipper to be on your zipper pouch. Some people like it right in the center, and they center their zipper right in the middle of their pouch. Other people like the zipper to be kind of, along the top edge, so that they have the zipper at the top with more stuff at the bottom. It doesn't matter. It's wherever you'd like to put it. The most important part of this step is that you have the zipper pull. This little guy that you grab onto to open and close the zipper pull needs to be inside the edge of the fabric. Because if your zipper pull is way out here and you sew it shut, you're not going to have a zipper. You're just going to have an opening right there. So make sure your zipper pull is inside. But we do not want to pull the zipper all the way down either, because if you push the zipper pull all the way down to the other edge and then you sew it shut, you're going to have a closed zipper bag. So it's really important that this is open about halfway. Okay, keep the zipper pull inside but not outside. So I'm going to position my zipper kind of along the top edge of my pouch, and I'm going to take my tab that I sewed earlier, and I'm going to place it inside the zipper pouch. And I'm going to place it right over the zipper end where the zipper stop is. So I'm going to place it right here along the edge, and then I'm going to fold all my fabric on top of each other, and I'm going to pin it through all of those layers. I don't want my zipper tab really going anywhere. So I'm going to pin through the zipper tab, right like that. Keep your zipper tab halfway open, and then I'm going to sew, or excuse me, I'm going to pin this bottom part here, and then I'm going to pin the other edge. Now on this side, you want to make sure that the zipper teeth are close together. You don't want to be sewing it like this because then it'll jumble up when you try to zip it shut. So keep the teeth together as close as you can, nice and flat, and pin those in place through both layers of the pouch. Now we are ready to sew the two side edges of our pouch. So when we place this in the machine, we're going to sew using a 1/2 inch seam allowance. A 1/2 inch is the line in between 3/8 and 5/8, because 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 4/8 is the same thing as 1/2. So when we place this in, the edge of our fabric, not the edge of our zipper, the edge of our fabric is going to go on the 1/2 inch line. So I'm going to do this open side first. I'm going to place this underneath, and I'm going to line up the edge of my fabric on the 1/2 inch line. And it's just a straight stitch, so I'm going to start, and I'm going to back stitch at the edge. And as I get to the pin, I'm going to take the pin out. And now, because we are sewing over a zipper, you do need to go pretty slow. If you try to go too fast, there's a good chance that your needle is going to break on the zipper teeth. So go really slow. Another thing in your instructions tells you that you need to back stitch where the zipper joins a couple of times before you go to the end. This is going to keep the zipper in place, and it's going to reinforce that edge. So as we go forward, I'm going to get to the next zipper, and I'm going to take that pin out. But before I move on, I'm going to back stitch in the same spot where the zippers touch 3 or 4 times. And kind of go nice and slow so that you don't break a needle. Now we have a nice reinforced stitch right there. So now I'm going to continue on down the rest of the way, and again make sure the edge of the fabric is on the 1/2 inch line. And then I'm going to back stitch at that corner. I'm going to take it out. I'm going to clip my threads. So we've got this first edge done, and you can see that we reinforced the zipper edge right here. We back stitched a few times right where that zipper touches. So now we're going to do the other side. So I'm just going to flip it around, and I'm going to place it on the 1/2 inch line. Back stitch to the edge. All right, now as we get closer to where our zipper and our zipper tab and the pull and everything is, I'm seeing that it's really thick right there. So I'm going to reach in, and I'm going to pull my zipper tab just a little bit more out of the way. Now that I've got this end sewn, I can kind of pull it down a little bit, okay? This part is kind of bulky, so you need to go really slow, because remember, your zipper tab is in there for your key ring, and it might be a little thick, so go slowly. I'm going to take the pin out before I go farther, and I'm going to go right up over this edge, nice and slow, and I'm going to back stitch over this edge just a little bit, right where that zipper joins, just like we did on the other edge. And then I'm going to go to the edge of my pouch and back stitch at the corner. And I'm going to take it out. And now we're almost done with our zipper pouch. After we get the 2 edges sewn and there's a nice reinforcement on both ends of the zipper, now we can cut our zipper. Again, make sure that your zipper tab is in between those 2 side seam allowances. I'm going to take my shears, and I'm going to trim the zipper evenly with the edge of my fabric on both sides. So I'm going to turn this around, and I'm going to trim my zipper on this end. The last thing we got to do is serge these 2 edges so that we can finish off those seams. All right. right, we are ready to serge our earbud pouch. Because we have a stitch line to follow this time, this stitch line is going to line up with the red mark on the presser foot. So if you look very carefully, there's a little red line. That's where we're going to line up our stitch line on our pouch. So we're going to place this in and underneath, and because these are kind of bulky, go nice and slow. We don't want to break any needles here going over the zipper. So line up the red line with the straight line and just serge right down this edge. We're going to trim our tails, and then we'll do the other side. Go nice and slow. All right, now all we got to do is turn it right side out and press it. All right, here we are at our final step on our zipper earbud pouch. Because we have a little opening here, we're going to reach through and turn our pouch right side out. And if you want, you can grab on that little tab that we made earlier, kind of help you pull all those little corners out. All right, now we're almost done, but we do need to press it in place. So in order to do that, I would get your point turner, and we're going to poke these corners out nice and sharp so that it gives you a nice square corner. And work our way around, getting all these edges nice and flat and sharp. All right, now I would zip the whole thing shut, lay it flat, and press around it and get it nice and flat. And again, try to keep the iron off the zipper as much as possible. I'm going to do the top edge. I am going to press just a little bit on that tab edge because that's where it likes to kind of bubble up a little bit. Last thing you got to do is attach your key ring. There we go. You now have your zipper pouch all completed.